I just recently finished watching all the Final Destination movies. I like the death scenes, and the death scenes are definitely the most memorable thing about the Final Destination to me. I asked myself the question, if I had to rank the Final Destination death scenes, which death scenes would be on the lower tier and which ones would be on the upper tier? So then I was like, great video idea. There are probably dozens of videos on YouTube regarding the death scenes, but hey, you know what? Let me make my own list. Maybe you will agree, maybe you won't. Okay, so yeah, this is what we're gonna do. I am going to rank all relevant death scenes from the whole Final Destination franchise and rank them from worst to best. I'm obviously... oh, hold on. I'm not gonna include any premonition death scenes, only death scenes from side characters and the main characters. Okay? Okay, so we are going through 47 death scenes together. And before we do that, let me actually... I have my laptop pulled up right in front of me. If you guys are interested in my movie ranking and in my premonition ranking, okay? So my movie ranking would be number 6, Final Destination 4. Yeah, obviously, right? Final Destination 5 on number 5. Bloodlines on number 4. Final Destination, the first movie, on number 3. Final Destination 2 on number 2. And my favorite Final Destination movie is Final Destination 3. Okay, and then we have the premonition rankings. So number 6 would be the race car, the whole situation. Number 5 would be the tower from Final Destination 6. Then we have Final Destination 5, the bridge. Number 3 we have the highway, terrifying.
Don't do it.
Don't drive behind a log truck. Never do. Never, that's the rule. And then we have number 2, the airplane. I'm terrified of airplanes. I always feel like I'm going to crash when I'm inside an airplane. So yeah, pretty effective. But we have number 1, which is the fucking roller coaster from Final Destination 3. As I'm getting older, I'm getting more scared of amusement parks. In all of these scenarios, anything can happen, but a roller coaster is so terrifying, and I would not like to die on a roller coaster. I had so much anxiety during watching the premonition. I hate it. Let's go through all of the death scenes. I'm going down and down and down and down and down and down and down. So we have our worst death scene of Final Destination. Can you guess what it is? I'm giving you like 5 seconds before I reveal it, okay? 5 seconds max, okay? On number 47 is Alex from Final Destination 1. This is the worst death scene ever. Not only is it off screen, do you know how he dies? He gets killed by a brick.
He fucked me with a toothbrush.
By a brick. He gets killed by a brick. We learn about this death scene in Final Destination 2. How dare you die like that in Final Destination? So number 46 we have Agent Block from Final Destination 5. Who? I don't know. He gets shot in his back by Peter. Right, I have to... sorry, I can't memorize all of them, okay? Do we have any Agent Block stands? Do you guys care? I don't think so. With that being said, number 45 is Peter.
Peter.
Final Destination 5 gets stabbed with a skewer by Sam. I'm not getting anything out of these death scenes, so that's why I had to rank them as low as I did. Then we have number 44, George from Final Destination 4. He gets hit by an ambulance. And let me tell you something, you are a copy, you're nothing more than that. You wish to be that, but you will never be that, so... Number 43 we have Nadia. So she gets hit by a flying tire.
Don't laugh.
Not only does the aftermath look awful, how does a tire manage to fly like that? So number 42 we have Brian from Final Destination 2. Brian is a very irrelevant character. We don't get to see him at all, except for the end. So what happens is the grill explodes. Brian dies. His arm lands on his mother's plate. It's more on the goofy side of death scenes, and not one of my favorites, so pass. Okay, then we have number 40. Perry from Final Destination 3.
What?
So Perry is Wendy's sister's friend. The way she dies is a flat pole spikes her through the back. And that's it. Number 39. Miss Luton from Final Destination 1. Oh my god. This is actually one of the worst death scenes, and I would actually put this lower, but I think the top 40 death scenes are just irrelevant, so I had to put them lowest. This death scene was entertaining, I guess, but also stupid. Do you want to know how she dies? She pours some vodka in her mug. The mug cracks. She spills the vodka. The monitor catches some water. The monitor explodes. The glass catches her neck. A fire starts. It spreads to the kitchen because of the vodka she spilled. The bottle explodes. It knocks her down. And then she looks up. She sees a rack. She tries to reach for the rack, okay? The rack is actually covering a bunch of knives. She then grabs the rack, and what happens is one of the knives stabs her right in her chest. And then the oven explodes, which causes the chair to fall exactly on the knife, which then the knife cuts deeper into her chest, and that's how she dies. Okay, then we have number 38. Clear and Eugene from Final Destination 2. Clear was a great character, and I think her dying was pretty upsetting for me, but the way they die is, so Eugene is at the hospital right after the car crash, which we're gonna talk about in a second. So he's at the hospital, Clear finds him. So she opens a door which leads to a huge explosion caused by oxygen somehow. I can't quite explain to you how it happens, but it happens. And then they die. Eugene burns to death. Clear also burns to death. And it's sad, I guess. R.I.P. Clear. So we have number 37. Carter from Final Destination 4. So what happens is he gets lit on fire, and then his head explodes. There are like too many effects. Right as soon as the explosion happens, the camera starts to shake, because you have to know Final Destination 4 came out during a time where 3D movies were very hot. Every movie in 2009 or even 10 was a 3D movie. They made these movies with these effects intended for 3D, for the 3D experience, I guess, and it just looks awful. One example for that is Saw 3D, which is the 7th movie. Terrible movie, by the way. Number 36, we have Nathan from Final Destination 5. A part of the plane falls on him and he gets crushed. Yeah, so no one is gonna survive in this movie, is what this death is basically telling you. Number 35 is Carter from Final Destination 1. Okay, so what happens is he gets hit by this giant sign. What makes the scene so cool is he says, "Oh, but who's next?" And then, you know. Number 34, we have Evan from Final Destination 2. Pretty goofy death scene. I actually don't like this death scene at all. A ladder falls through his eye. Looks pretty graphic. Any violent scenes that are involving eyes are just very triggering for me personally. I don't like to see that. I can see someone's insides getting torn apart, but seeing someone's eyes getting crushed with someone else's fingers or any eye trauma, hate it. And then we have number 33, Julie from Final Destination 3. This death scene is one of the more irrelevant death scenes because as a scene in itself, there's just like nothing happening, and it happens really quick. So what happens basically is she gets yeeted by this metal wheel. Julie, I think this impacted me a little bit because I liked Julie as a character. So this was pretty upsetting for me, to be honest. I genuinely wanted her to survive. Okay, and then we have number 32, Darlene from Final Destination 6. So this is the first and the worst Final Destination 6 death scene on my list. What happens is she gets crushed by a lamppost. There is something funny about this scene because right before she dies, she says something, I don't remember. She's like, and then she dies. So it's funny. Number 30, Wendy.
Oh no, you ain't doing that.
Best main character. So her death scene is actually terrible. She gets just hit by a train. It's off screen. But it's upsetting because why her? I know why her, but like why her? You know, she was such a nice character. At some point, the endings are getting tired. Do you guys agree? It's like, yes, I guess this like never-ending circle of dying and dying and dying and dying and death is inevitable. That's like the message, but like, come on. One of them succeeded, you know, Kimberly. But only one character, come on. Number 29, Molly from Final Destination 5. First of all, I have to say that this whole scene ending is an amazing plot twist. And it also is pretty upsetting for her to die because she wasn't meant to die in the first place. She got cut in half by the wing. Number 28, we have Bobby from Final Destination 6. So what happens is a loose spring from the vending machine drills his head as soon as the doctor opens the door. I think I liked how the spring was like still spinning, it was like still drilling his head. That looked cool. Number 27, we have Andy from Final Destination 4. Okay, so this death scene looks very awful. I get that. I totally get that. It's trashy, okay? So what happens is a gas tank catches Andy and then he gets diced by a metal fence. I have to say something, even though it looks fucking awful, it's still a very cool death scene to me. You can throw your tomatoes at me, but I like this death scene. I guess you will never be Resident Evil. This also reminded me of Resident Evil, the first movie, where they are stuck in this like laser room and the last guy gets cut in that way. Number 26, Rory from Final Destination 2. Kat's cigarette falls from her hand and rolls into gasoline that had leaked out from the van, which got punctured by a rock. And then fire catches up to the gas tank and the van explodes. And then like next to the vans, there are like wired fences. And one of the fences gets yeeted and then Rory gets slashed by the fences. Visually it looks interesting, so I had to put this on number 26. So yeah, this was actually a pretty cool death scene. So number 25, we have Lewis from Final Destination 3. I think I like the intensity of the scene. Dying at the gym is just very terrifying. As someone who recently started going to the gym. There are many ways to injure yourself or to even die at the gym, so this one was pretty effective in that way. His head gets crushed between two weights and I don't know exactly how it happens. Something gets cut off and then, you know. I mean, the death scene in itself looks pretty bad, but it's still a very terrifying scenario and death scene, so this is pretty high for me. Number 24, we have Kevin. So, okay, so the reason why I decided to put this as high as I did is because the way he dies, it's just so gruesome. He gets smashed between the train and the wall and it just looks so disgusting. It's so disgusting. Number 23, we have Jared, Laurie, and Nick from Final Destination 4. I hate this movie, but this death scene is the best thing that has happened in that movie. I like the animation. It's this like X-ray animated death scene, and even though it is animated, it is still pretty gruesome and pretty brutal, and it leads right into the credits. Very cool. I'm glad not every death scene in that movie is like that, and I hate the vision scenes. So number 22, we have Frankie from Final Destination 3. Frankie was a nasty character, okay? He looked like that one character from High School Musical, the one I haven't watched High School Musical, but there's one character who wears like all white, I think, right? Does he wear? I don't even know. His back of his head gets chopped by a car engine. Looks disgusting. I like the death scene. I have nothing more to say. Number 21, we have Isaac. Why did I pronounce it like that? The whole scene is just very entertaining, and it also turned the movie into a comedy. He goes to this Thai massage place. This grandma, she puts tiny needles in his whole body. At one point, he falls down exactly on the needles, which is so disgusting. And then he picks some of the needles out of his skin. It's so fucking stupid. If fire spreads, he gets knocked down. Right above him, there's like this big Buddha statue. And then he gets crushed by this statue, which I guess the statue was heavy, but it also didn't look that heavy, nor did it look big. How soft does your head need to be for you to die like that? Number 20, we have Howard from Final Destination 6. He gets sliced, his head gets sliced by a lawn mower. Him saying "I'm okay" right before gives it a comedic touch. In general, Final Destination 6 is the funniest out of all the movies. What I find to be pretty disgusting about this death scene is you can see his head getting mushy, and you get a glimpse into the lawnmower. You can like see what happens inside of it, low-key. So it's just ugh. Okay, we have number 19. We're getting closer to the top 10. So number 19 we have Ian from Final Destination 3. He gets crushed by a giant sign. What differentiates this scene from Carter from Final Destination 1 is that this scene is definitely more graphic, hence my reasoning for it to be this high. It just looks very disgusting, and his like arm or leg still moves right after, and you can see his insides and disgusting. Number 18 we have two deaths, Stephanie and Charlie. Just because in the previous movies they all died in the end doesn't mean that you have to do it again. I really hope, and I hope I'm not the only one, I hope in Final Destination 7 we actually get we actually see characters survive in the end. And I'm not talking about some random XYZ character. I'm talking about one of the side characters or even the main character. Please. They get crushed by huge logs by the end of this movie. Sad. Number 17 we have Roy from Final Destination 5. So what happens is Nathan tries to save him, but then he falls down and the construction hook gets through his chin and then through his head. Oh. For an irrelevant character, this was a pretty gruesome death scene. Number 16 we have Todd from Final Destination 1. I don't know if this is controversial because I feel like a lot of people hate this death scene. Let me say why I think this is one of the more terrifying scenes in Final Destination 1 and one of the better death scenes. So what happens is he slips, okay? Also the water is blue. You can see death as an entity. He slips and then he gets strangled by this clothesline. And the way he chokes looks very terrifying, and it's like his acting is so effective. It's such a great death scene because it also shows you that you don't have to be gory to able to create a intense death scene, one that leaves impact. This one is pretty gruesome to me. Like by the end of the scene you can see his eyes getting red, which is pretty cool, but you don't see any blood, nothing like that. Except for that one scene where he tries to shave his non-existent facial hair and then he cuts himself, but that's it. Number 15 we have Dennis from Final Destination 5. This also happens pretty quick, but I like this death scene. A wrench flies through his head. Well, okay, sad. But then you see the aftermath and it looks so gross. I like this death scene. I like it. And it also comes right after this one other character dying. I don't remember his name anymore. Roy. Sorry. Number 14 we have Iris from Final Destination 6. What a brave character. Brave, no Disney. Oh man, I wish she didn't die, but I mean I guess she had to die to prove a point. So how she dies is she gets impaled through the fucking jaw. Number 13 we have Erin from Final Destination 3. Oh my god. So what happens is a bunch of long nails get shot through the back of her head. It's sad because she manages to, well, I mean Wendy manages to save Ian, but doesn't manage to save Erin, and Ian has to see his girlfriend die in the most gruesome way, by the way. Oh my fucking god, So yeah, and it's also Ian, this death scene is very important for Ian's character development, I would say. He gets evil, so, you know. Number 12 we have Billy from Final Destination 1. So what happens to Billy is he gets decapitated by some metal piece which is on the rail, and it's this is a very special death scene because it is the first really graphic death scene in Final Destination 1. So this is the beginning of the chaos, basically. So this is why this had to be high. Number 11, Samantha, Final Destination 4. So a stone gets hit by a lawnmower, and then the stone flies through her eye as soon as she's about to leave the store. Right before that, she's like looking at her children and is like, I got my eye on you. And then it happens. So we have entered the top 10. Are you excited? Cut the cookie. Girl, shut the fuck. Number 10, we have Eric from Final Destination 6. This MRI machine gets the magnet gets stronger, whatever, something gets stronger. And then he gets sucked up because he has piercings, right? He gets sucked up. And then behind him is a wheelchair, and that wheelchair basically spikes him. It goes through him, and then he gets folded. It looks so nasty. I hate MRI machines in general. I have a fear of them. I always ask myself the question, what if I get sucked up by one of these things? Even though I have nothing, no metal on me. Like, what if I die in that way? Hunter from Final Destination 4. I know this death scene is pretty bad, but it's pretty gruesome for me, for someone who likes to swim. His coin falls into the pool, and then he dives deep to get the coin. And then his ass, I think he manages to get the coin, but he's right in front of like the hole, or like next to the hole, and then his ass gets sucked up, okay? And the pool pump, it reaches like its highest pressure. You can see his insides getting sucked up. The pool pump explodes, and then you see all of his insides get like thrown out, and it just looks so nasty and very gory. Very gory. So number 8, we have Tim from Final Destination 2. This is the first time we ever get to see a child dying in Final Destination, and it doesn't happen a lot. But so what happens is, so he goes to the dentist with his mom, and there are tons of things happening at the dentist which makes you think that he's going to die in these different ways, which in itself would be terrifying. There are many ways to die at the dentist. What if the drill, whatever, gets in your eye? What if the needle gets in your... You know, there are many different ways, but he survives. They get out, and then he sees a bunch of doves, okay? He runs towards them. There is this huge glass platform right above him, and then he runs, as I said, towards the doves, and then they all panic and fly away. And then one of the construction workers gets distracted by the doves, and then he does activate a button, and then it causes the platform, the glass, to fall on him, and then he folds in a way that just looks terrifying, and it's a very graphic death scene, and his mom basically has to see him die like that. And it's very depressing. There's like nothing funny about this death scene. Some scenes in Final Destination are funny. This one is not. This one is straight up terrifying to me. Okay, number 7, we have Olivia. Olivia. Final Destination 7. Final Destination 5. Olivia, so she gets LASIK surgery. I'm gonna tell you why this has impacted me a lot. So any graphic scene, as I said, involving eyes is automatically triggering for me personally, so this one made me feel very anxious. It probably wouldn't happen the way it did, right? Why the heck would you need this strong of a laser? Hey, like there's water, there's a cup of water, and then it gets spilled, it lands on this LASIK machine thingy, which causes a malfunction, and then her head is, the doctor gets out of the room because he has to collect some files or something. Okay, Slenderman. No, he has some documents he has to get, something like that. He leaves her alone, okay? And then she notices like the laser, the whatever, getting stronger, and then she tries to reach for the controller, which is like next to her, but because she's so restrained, she obviously can't really move. And then what happens is she manages to touch it, but it falls right on the button, which activates the strong laser. What happens, right? So she manages to save herself, and then what happens is she slips through the window. She falls from the 4th floor on a car windshield, and she dies. And her eye rolls on the street, and then you see a car running over the eye. Funny. The reason why this is number 7 for me is because I actually plan on getting the same surgery. So you can imagine the terror I felt when I saw this scene, okay? So we have number 6, Julia from Final Destination 6. So she decides to go for a run, okay? And then she gets hit by this ball, which makes her fall into a bin. That scene is so funny. So she falls into the bin, and then she gets dumped into this garbage truck, okay? She tries to get out. Who wouldn't, right? Obviously. The characters all try to run to the truck. They try to stop the truck. and Stephanie manages to get onto the side of the truck, okay? And then she reaches her hand. Julia, she also grabs her hand, but she cannot get out because the compressor unfortunately crashes her fucking lower head and arm. And if I say it's gruesome, I mean it. That scene was stuck in my head for like a day or two. And then the arm, and then she like Stephanie has the arm on her hand and the flesh. You know in what movie it also happens? Chucky 3. Number 5. Okay, top 5. We have Terry from Final Destination 1. I think this is a fan favorite. I don't know. What is a fan favorite death scene in Final Destination? One of the best jump scares in any movie. I mean, she was about to cross the street and then you pretty much had an idea, right, on how she would die, but it happening so fast, it's like...
Hello?
This is so funny, but anytime, and it doesn't matter what movie, what character, if any character is standing on the street, it automatically makes me think of Terry. And I'm like, okay, something is about to happen. Doesn't that happen in Pet Sematary? In a slower way, but it happens. Iconic death scene. Everyone knows of this death scene. And then we have number 4, Cat. Where's Cat? From Final Destination 2. So, there's this car crash happening. And then they crash into tons of sharp pipes. One pipe even gets through the car, okay, to the front. And then Cat, she cannot get out. And also, everyone survived. Okay, we're like, yay, she survived. She can't get out because she has like wood stuck in front of her. She can't open the door. One of the rescue workers, he tries to save her, help her out since she cannot get out, obviously. And then what happens is she leans forward in the same moment where he tries to, where he goes all in basically, and it activates the airbag and her head gets spiked. And that's how she dies. That's such a cool death scene. I love this death scene. It's so cool to look at. It's so surprising as well. So this is the reason why it's on number 4. Number 3, 2, 1. I couldn't decide which one I thought was the best one and also the most terrifying one. But I have come to the conclusion that this death scene is actually on number 3 in my list. Candace from Final Destination 5. Oh, I hate this death scene. What happens is she breaks her bones in a very tragic way. I cannot explain how it happens, but she dies and you can see the bone and it's so fucking disgusting. It also looks just very realistic. I know the deaths in this movie are not realistic at all, but this one is just like, this could happen to anyone, I think, to be honest. So, I don't know. Number 2, we have Nora. Final Destination 2. She is in an elevator. Her hair gets caught in a hook. There's this man who has like these plastic arms and then the arms have like hooks attached to them. And her hair gets caught by one of these hooks. And then the door opens. She tries to get out, but she can't manage to get out. What happens is she gets out, but her head gets stuck inside the elevator and the elevator gets up and then her head slowly gets crushed. And it's so terrifying. You know how scared I am of elevators. Never trust if it rises fast. It can't last.
Wrap it up.
Like perfect description of my fear of elevators. And also this death scene is pretty sad considering that she was in the elevator and on her way to plan her son's funeral, Tim. And then right before she dies, she also says, I don't want to die. And then she dies and it's just very gruesome and depressing. And in general, Final Destination 2 is not fun at all. Like Evan's death scene, okay, that one is fun. Rory's death scene is fun. Brian's death scene is fun, but like the rest. Now we have the number 1. Can you guess it? Can you guess the number 1? If you think about it, which one did I not mention? I'm going to give you a hint. It's from Final Destination 3. Ashley and Ashlyn. Woohoo! They are, in my opinion, they have the best death scene. Not only in Final Destination 3, but also in Final Destination overall. They burn to death. They are stuck inside the beds. They can't get out. And as someone who's claustrophobic, worst case death ever. Not only am I stuck, I can't get out, but I also burn to death? No. Thank you. Bye bye. No one in this life can convince me to go and tan. In the tanning bed. Like, no. I'm not gonna do that. Why would I do that? Why? Why? I mean, it's also not good for your skin, but also this movie just convinced me not to go on a tanning bed. At all. Like, no. And then what I like, I love this so much. The scene right after where they are in the caskets. Cinema. Ashley and Ashlyn take the cake. Alex takes a shit. This was so fun. This was so entertaining going through the death scenes again. I really want to do this with something else, so if you have any ideas, just let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for my next video. I don't know what it will be. I do a lot of things here, so goodbye.